There is a quiet kind of exhaustion that sleep never fixes. Not physical tiredness, but the fatigue of constantly explaining yourself. The weight of living in a world that rewards noise, visibility, and non-stop performance. You wake up surrounded by people who speak far more than they act. People who announce plans before earning them. People who measure their value through attention instead of discipline. Stoicism was never designed for that kind of world. It was built for moments like this, when you realize real strength doesn't need an audience. This path is lonely on purpose, waking up before the world asks anything of you, speaking less, not because you lack confidence, but because your energy matters. Training hard even when no one knows your name, staying unknown, not from fear, but from freedom. This video isn't here to hype you up, it's here to remind you of something deeper. You don't need applause to become powerful. You need discipline practiced in silence, repeated daily, carried forward when no one is watching. 1. Wake up early. Discipline begins when no one is watching. Waking up early isn't about productivity tricks or chasing success. It's about choosing yourself before the world starts making demands. When the alarm goes off and every part of you wants comfort, that moment becomes a crossroads. No one is watching, no one is counting, no one will praise you for getting up. That's exactly why it matters. Most people wait for pressure to move them, deadlines, fear, urgency created by others. A Stoic understands something deeper. If you begin the day reacting instead of deciding, you've already lost ground. Early mornings are quiet, not just because the world is asleep, but because distractions haven't arrived yet. No messages to answer, no opinions to manage, no roles to perform, just you and the person you're becoming. This is where discipline forms, not the loud kind, not the kind posted online, the private kind that builds self-respect. Each early morning is a small promise kept to yourself, and every promise strengthens your inner authority. You begin trusting yourself again. You start believing your own word. That trust compounds. People talk about confidence as if it comes first and action follows. Stoicism reverses that. Confidence is earned through repeated, uncomfortable action. Waking up early trains this because it forces you to face resistance before excuses have time to grow. You learn something important in those hours. You don't need motivation, you don't need perfect conditions, you don't need permission, you need a decision. When you wake up early, you reclaim ownership of your time, and time is the one thing you never get back. Every morning you take it before the world takes it from you. You reinforce a quiet truth. My life responds to my discipline, not my moods. There's something humbling about early mornings. You see how small you are and how much work remains. No shortcuts, no spectators, just repetition. That repetition hardens you the right way, not bitter, not aggressive, but grounded. Over time, waking up early stops feeling like sacrifice and becomes identity. You're no longer someone trying to be disciplined. You're someone who does the work before it's required. That's the kind of man who doesn't panic when things go wrong later. He already won the most important battle against himself before sunrise. So wake up early, not to impress anyone, not to chase approval. Wake up early because discipline practiced in silence is the foundation of unshakable strength. The strongest people you'll ever meet usually started their day long before you noticed them. 2. Say less. Silence is where your power stops leaking. There comes a moment when you realize explaining yourself doesn't bring clarity, it brings exhaustion. You explain your intentions, your choices, your boundaries, and still you feel misunderstood. Stoicism teaches a hard truth. The need to be understood often marks the beginning of weakness. Not because understanding is bad, but because chasing it from the wrong people drains your energy and hands them control. Most people talk too much because they fear silence. Silence forces accountability. Silence reveals intentions. Silence removes the comfort of hiding behind words. A Stoic doesn't rush to fill that space. When you speak less, you start noticing how much of your talking was never about communication. It was defense, justification, an attempt to soften judgment. But silence does something powerful. It returns ownership of your emotions to you. The moment you stop explaining, you stop negotiating your value. You begin to understand something subtle but strong. Your actions already speak. The right people don't need explanations. The wrong people will never accept them. Silence sharpens perception. When you're not busy talking, you start listening, not just to words, but to patterns, tone, consistency, and what people do when they think no one is watching. This is how you protect yourself without confrontation. Stoicism isn't about being cold. It's about being deliberate, speaking only when words add value, walking away when they won't. There is strength in restraint, dignity in not reacting, authority in choosing quiet. When someone provokes you and you don't respond, you haven't lost. You've taken higher ground. You've denied them access to your inner world. That denial creates respect, even if it's never admitted. Over time, saying less changes how people treat you. They become more careful, more aware of your presence. Silence signals confidence. It says, "I don't need to convince you." The Stoics understood this. Words are cheap, character is expensive and built slowly, so say less, not because you lack something to say, but because your energy is better spent becoming someone whose silence carries weight. In a world addicted to noise, restraint becomes quiet dominance. The less you explain, the more unshakable you become. 3. Train hard. Choose the pain that strengthens you. There is suffering that weakens and suffering that fortifies. Stoicism teaches you to tell the difference. Most people build their lives around comfort, ease, and instant relief. What they fail to see is this: the pain you avoid today becomes the pain that controls you tomorrow. Training hard isn't about building a body others admire. It's about building a mind that doesn't collapse under pressure. When you choose to train, when you place yourself under strain by choice, you rehearse for life. You teach yourself how to stay present when things hurt, how to breathe when resistance rises, how to move forward when quitting feels justified. This is voluntary hardship, one of the oldest Stoic practices, because life will test you whether you're ready or not. Illness, loss, failure, betrayal, fatigue, these things arrive without warning. When they do, they don't care how comfortable your life has been. Hard training prepares you quietly. In the gym, in the cold, in repetition, you meet yourself honestly. No filters, no excuses. You discover how you react when no one is cheering and your body wants to stop. That moment reveals more about your character than success ever could. Training strips away ego. There's nothing glamorous about showing up tired, nothing impressive about repeating the basics again and again, but there is something powerful about becoming reliable to yourself. Each session completed in silence builds an internal record. I don't quit when it gets uncomfortable. That belief doesn't stay in your body. It follows you into difficult conversations, long days, and moments when life demands more than you planned to give. You don't train hard to punish yourself. You train hard to remove fear, fear of effort, fear of fatigue, fear of your own limits. As those fears dissolve, something steadier replaces them: calm confidence. The Stoics believed the body was a training ground for the mind. If you can endure physical strain with discipline, you're less likely to panic when emotional strain arrives. So train hard, not loudly, not for recognition, Train hard because when life applies pressure, and it always does, you'll already know how to stand your ground. Strength built in silence doesn't announce itself, but it shows up when everything else falls apart. 4. Stay unknown. Power grows faster in the dark. The world tells you to be visible, to document progress, to announce milestones, to turn every achievement into proof. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Needing to be seen is a quiet form of dependence. The moment your effort requires an audience, your peace becomes fragile. Your motivation turns external, and external motivation always expires. Staying unknown isn't about hiding. It's about protecting your inner direction. When no one is watching, your actions become honest. You stop performing. You stop measuring yourself by reactions. You stop adjusting your path to meet expectations that were never yours. This is where real growth accelerates. The strongest foundations are built underground. Roots grow in darkness long before anything appears above the surface. The same is true for character. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to do the right thing without seeking praise, because virtue loses its purity when it depends on recognition. What is good doesn't need to be advertised. Staying unknown frees you from comparison. You're no longer distracted by who is ahead, who is behind, or who is watching. Your focus becomes alignment between what you believe and what you do, and alignment is power. There is safety in anonymity. Fewer opinions, fewer expectations, fewer interruptions. When you're not constantly explaining or defending yourself, you conserve immense mental energy. That energy returns to work, training, and reflection. Over time, something subtle happens. You feel lighter, less reactive, less desperate for validation. You move with intention instead of urgency. People who chase visibility often burn out. People who stay unknown often endure, not because they lack ambition, but because their ambition is internal. It doesn't rise or fall with applause. So stay unknown, not forever, but long enough. Long enough to build strength without interference. Long enough to know who you are without feedback. Long enough to let results mature quietly. When the time comes to be seen, you won't need to announce it. Your presence will speak first. 5. Cut distraction. Every distraction is a silent theft. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because their attention is constantly taken, not violently, not dramatically, quietly, minute by minute. Distraction rarely arrives as chaos. It arrives as comfort, as small interruptions you don't feel the need to resist. A notification, a scroll, a conversation that leads nowhere, an impulse to check instead of commit. Stoicism sees this clearly. What you give your attention to, you give your life to. Focus isn't a personality trait, it's a discipline. And like all discipline, it requires subtraction before addition. When you cut distractions, resistance appears. Restlessness, boredom, an urge to escape stillness. That discomfort reveals how dependent the modern mind has become on stimulation. It explains why so many people feel busy yet empty. A Stoic doesn't seek constant input. He seeks clarity. Clarity comes when noise is removed. Cutting distraction isn't about isolating yourself from the world. It's about deciding what deserves access to you, your time, your energy, your inner space. These are limited resources. Every unnecessary distraction steals from the work that matters. When you protect your focus, something shifts. Thoughts slow down, actions become deliberate, standards rise. You stop reacting to everything and start responding only to what aligns with your values. This is why the Stoics valued simplicity. Fewer possessions, fewer obligations, fewer words. Not because less is morally superior, but because less makes strength sustainable. Distraction weakens resolve. Focus sharpens it. Focus sustained over time becomes something rare, authority over yourself. You don't need to eliminate everything. You only need to remove what pulls you away from who you're becoming. So cut distraction, not aggressively, not impulsively, but deliberately. In a world designed to scatter your attention, the man who can focus deeply becomes dangerous, not to others, but to his former limitations. That strength is built quietly, one protected hour at a time. 6. Master your reactions. Nothing has power over you until you grant it permission. Most people believe emotions are caused by events, by words spoken, by situations they didn't choose. Stoicism cuts deeper. It teaches that what hurts you is not what happens, but how quickly you surrender control to it. Between every event and your reaction, there is a moment, a pause so small most people never notice it. Inside that pause lives your freedom. When someone disrespects you, the impulse is instant: defend, explain, strike back. When something goes wrong, the reflex is to complain, panic, or blame. These reactions feel justified, even natural, but they are also predictable, and anything predictable can be controlled by others. A Stoic trains to slow this moment down, not to suppress emotion, but to observe it without obedience. You begin to see anger rise like a wave. You feel the heat, the tension, the urge to act. Instead of following it, you stay still. You let it pass. Not because you are weak, but because you are disciplined. This is where real power develops. When you stop reacting automatically, people lose the ability to manipulate you. Provocation fails. Drama starves. You remain steady while others exhaust themselves trying to pull you into their chaos. Calm is not passive. Calm is controlled strength. The Stoics understood that the person who governs himself cannot be governed by circumstances. He may feel frustration, disappointment, even pain, but he does not become them. Mastering your reactions changes how you see the world. You stop taking everything personally. You stop assuming every inconvenience is an attack. You conserve energy by refusing to turn small events into internal wars. This discipline doesn't appear overnight. It's trained through awareness, reflection, and repeated restraint. Each time you choose not to react, you strengthen the part of you that stays unshaken. Over time, something remarkable happens. You become difficult to disturb, hard to provoke, impossible to rush. So master your reactions, not to appear calm, but to be free. Because the person who controls his response controls his direction, and direction sustained long enough becomes destiny. Most people don't realize how much of their life is spent reacting to tone, reacting to disrespect, reacting to disappointment, reacting to things they cannot control. They call it honesty. They call it being real. Stoicism calls it leakage of power. Every uncontrolled reaction hands the steering wheel to something outside of you, a person, a moment, an emotion that arrived uninvited. The more often this happens, the less authority you hold over your own life. A Stoic understands something uncomfortable but liberating. You don't control what hits you, you control what stays. Between stimulus and response lives the most important muscle you can train: restraint. At first, restraint feels unnatural. Silence feels like swallowing fire. Not responding feels like losing. Walking away feels like surrender, but only because your nervous system has been conditioned to confuse reaction with survival. Stoic discipline retrains that instinct. You begin by noticing the physical signals: the tightening jaw, the quickened breath, the urge to interrupt, defend, or correct. Instead of obeying them, you pause. That pause is not weakness, it's leverage. In that pause, you ask one question: is reacting here making me stronger or just louder? Most of the time, the answer is obvious: When you master your reactions, you stop being emotionally available to every disturbance. Not everything deserves a response. Not every opinion requires a defense. Not every provocation is worth your time. This changes how people interact with you. Those who seek drama lose interest. Those who rely on emotional hooks lose access. Those who respect strength adjust their tone, not because you demanded respect, but because you stopped feeding disrespect with energy. An internal shift happens as well. You stop being at war with yourself. You no longer replay conversations wishing you had said something different. You stop carrying emotional residue from moments that should have ended already. Your mind becomes quieter, clearer. The Stoics believed inner turbulence was more damaging than external hardship. A person shaken by his own reactions is easier to break than someone facing difficulty with composure. Mastering your reactions builds emotional immunity. You still feel anger, but it doesn't command you. You still feel disappointment, but it doesn't define you. You still feel pressure, but it doesn't collapse you. This isn't suppression. Suppression buries emotion until it explodes. Stoic control allows emotion to pass without ownership. You acknowledge it, learn from it, and release it. Over time, this practice reshapes your identity. You become someone who responds slowly and deliberately. Someone who doesn't rush to speak. Someone whose calm unsettles people who expected chaos. The greatest benefit is this: you stop wasting energy on what doesn't move your life forward. That energy returns to you, focused, refined, available. So master your reactions, because life will never stop testing you. But the person who governs his inner world cannot be conquered by the outer one. When you realize nothing controls you unless you allow it, you stop feeling trapped. You begin moving freely, quietly, steadily, with purpose. 7. Let results speak. When you stop explaining, life answers for you. There comes a moment in every disciplined life when something shifts, not outwardly, not dramatically, but internally. It's the realization that talking was never the problem. Believing that talking would save you was. For years you may have tried to explain yourself, your intentions, your struggles, your plans, your delays. You wanted understanding, you wanted fairness, you wanted people to see the effort happening behind the scenes. Stoicism teaches a harder, quieter truth. Explanations don't change outcomes, actions do. Letting results speak means understanding that silence is not absence. It is preparation, it is patience, it is restraint sharpened over time. Most people speak early because they are uncertain. They announce goals to borrow confidence from attention. They argue to protect fragile pride. They defend to soften judgment. The Stoic does the opposite. He delays speech, he delays celebration, he delays recognition, because he understands results carry a gravity words can never imitate. When results speak, they don't ask permission, they don't negotiate, they don't argue, they arrive complete. That is why they are respected, even by those who once doubted you. Letting results speak requires patience. And patience is painful in a world obsessed with immediacy. You will work while others talk, improve while others compare, progress while others seek reassurance. There will be long stretches where nothing changes on the surface. No praise, no validation, no acknowledgement, only routine, only effort, only repetition. This is where most people quit, not because they can't do the work, but because they can't tolerate being unseen while doing it. Stoicism prepares you for this. It teaches you to detach identity from feedback, to stop using reactions as proof of worth, to measure progress internally before expecting it externally. When you let results speak, you free yourself from the exhausting need to convince. You stop correcting misunderstandings. You stop chasing agreement. You stop entering debates that drain more than they build. Your life becomes quieter, but heavier. Every action carries weight because it isn't diluted by constant commentary. There is humility in this approach. You accept that not everyone will notice your effort, and you stop needing them to. You trust the process enough to remain committed even when no one is clapping. This humility is not submission. It is confidence without display. The Stoics believed virtue proves itself through consistency, not announcements. Excellence doesn't need witnesses, only time. And time, when paired with discipline, is ruthless in its honesty. It exposes pretenders, it rewards endurance, it reveals who was building and who was performing. When results finally speak, they often say very little, but they say enough. A calmer presence, a steadier life, a stronger body, a mind that doesn't fracture under pressure, a reputation built quietly without self-promotion. People begin to feel the difference before they can explain it. They sense reliability, they sense depth, they sense that you are not easily shaken. Those who once underestimated you rarely admit they were wrong. They simply adjust how they treat you. That is the real shift. Not domination, not revenge. Respect earned without demand. Letting results speak also protects you from ego. You don't become addicted to praise because you never relied on it. You don't collapse under criticism because you outgrew the need for approval. Your standards become internal. Your motivation becomes self-sustaining. And perhaps most importantly, you gain peace. Peace from no longer having to prove yourself. Peace from no longer rehearsing defenses in your mind. Peace from knowing that if your path is right, time will confirm it. So let results speak. Let silence do its work. Let consistency compound. When your life becomes the evidence, words become unnecessary. The strongest statement you will ever make is how you live, day after day, without explanation, unseen, unapplauded, unbreakable. This path was never meant to be loud. It was never designed to impress, attract attention, or collect approval. It exists for those willing to build something real while remaining invisible to the crowd. Waking up early built self-respect. Saying less protected your energy. Training hardened your body and your mind. Staying unknown freed you from dependence on praise. Cutting distraction gave you clarity. Mastering your reactions gave you freedom. Letting results speak gave you dignity. None of this happens overnight. There are no shortcuts, no sudden recognition, only quiet days stacked on top of each other, slowly forming a life that doesn't shake under pressure. Most people will never notice your discipline, and that's the point. The goal was never to be seen. The goal was to be unbreakable. If you stay on this path long enough, you'll realize something important. You no longer need permission, validation, or explanation. You move with certainty because your life reflects your values. So continue in silence. Continue with discipline. Continue without announcement. Let the world rush. Let others chase attention. You remain steady, grounded, patient. Over time, your calm becomes your signature. Your consistency becomes your reputation. Your quiet strength becomes impossible to ignore. Remember this when doubt returns. You don't need to be seen to be powerful. You only need to keep going when no one is watching.